That's right, Jason. I'm here at the Riverdale Mall, and as you can see around me, holiday shoppers are going nuts for Facebook's fourth-generation Oculus VR headset. Much of this is thanks to Facebook's exclusive partnership with Cineros Games. Their massively popular VR game Inception, a kind of choose-your-own-adventure mystery, licensed from the 2010 movie, has already been named Game of the Year by IGN. Over 11 million Oculus units have already been sold worldwide in its opening week, with analysis projecting at least another 8 million by month's end.
Here to speak with us today about this worrying trend is our resident medical expert, Dr. Sandra Weinhardt. Sandra, what's the latest you can tell us about these shocking VR addiction stats?
Well, Tom, these latest figures are worrying, to say the least. This past June saw an additional 120,000 cases of VR addiction registered, bringing the national average to well over 1.3 million. The experts I've talked to say that a combination of widespread automation-fueled unemployment, the release of cheap VR headsets and accessories, and the rise of massive open online worlds, or muses, as gamers like to call them, are causing addicts to spend 6 up to 14 hours inside VR worlds.
14 hours? How's that even possible?
Well, when talking to these addicts, the thing they always tell me is how easy it is to lose track of time inside their VR worlds. Keep in mind that for many young people, these VR muses are where they hang out with their friends. For some, it's where they go to school, how they travel the world, virtually, of course, and some even have full-time jobs entirely inside corporate VR muses. The immersion some people are finding have been stunning, but of course we have to think of the health concerns associated with VR.
In a dramatic turnabout, Google stock prices has rebounded over 25% today after they released jaw-dropping sales figures for its third-generation Magic Leap augmented reality lenses. Sujoy Kandari is joining me from the NASDAQ building to discuss these impressive figures.
Yeah, Andrew, wow. I mean, today might be one for the record books. Google stock has been hurting for months due to its poorly performing search revenue and a hangover from the 5 years' worth of underwhelming sales of its Magic Leap division. That, as you remember, Google paid handsomely to acquire 8 years ago. But the surprise release of these AR lenses, their overwhelmingly positive early reviews, and their low $30 a box price has led consumers to buy these lenses in droves. We're talking over 43 million units sold in their first week alone.
And it's that price point that's the real story here, right? I mean, we're talking about lenses that can improve your vision, track your health, and give you wireless AR, all for a sixth of what Magic Leap's AR glasses cost.
Yeah, that's right. Insiders believe Google is subsidizing the cost of these AR lenses heavily to boost sales and adoption. For them, the more people wear AR, the more Google can overlay ads over the physical objects and places you see in real life. It's their way of boosting their search revenue back to what we saw a decade ago.
And just when you thought the Pokemon AR craze was getting out of hand, just listen to this story out of Tennessee. A 23-year-old man by the name of Alex Holden was arrested today for running down a busy downtown street, seriously injuring 11 people with a steel pipe. His reason, he thought they were zombies. Detectives investigating this case put out a statement saying that they believe someone hacked into Holden's Magic Leap AR lenses and installed an illegal AR filter into it that made the people around him look like zombies. Holden is now being cared for in a psychiatric facility, while Google has yet to release a statement about this incident.
In other news, the Tuscaloosa VA Medical Center has been making waves recently by giving veterans a newfound sense of independence thanks to its pioneering application of a new technology called Brain-Computer Interface, or BCI for short. Our correspondent Marco Vessa visited the hospital to learn more about this groundbreaking work.
Oftentimes, visiting a veterans hospital can be a sobering scene. One where some veterans struggle to overcome symptoms of PTSD, while others work through the painful process of learning how to live with the loss of one or more limbs. But at the Tuscaloosa VA Medical Center, this stereotype is far from the truth. As we passed through the halls and rehab gyms, we're presented with dozens of veterans who are enjoying a newfound sense of mobility from robotic legs and arms that they can control entirely with their mind. I spoke with Joshua Hernandez, a former U.S. Marine captain who suffered the loss of his right arm during a recent operation in Yemen. So, what can you tell us about your new prosthetic arm?
Honestly, it sounds crazy, but even though I know it's not, it feels real. I mean, I really thought that I'd have to spend the rest of my life with a hook for an arm, but with this...
I'm told you've been wearing this arm for the past week now. What can this arm allow you to do that your previous prosthetic couldn't?
It's crazy. I can type, I can pitch a ball, I can grab a tissue. The normal stuff I couldn't do for the past 4 months, now I can do again. I just think, and it does what I want. Same as my other arm. I can't explain what this means to me.
And welcome to Today in Tech. Our top story belongs to reclusive Chinese billionaire Jing Xiao, the inventor of the Mengxiangshu Dream Recorder. His company, Nissin released a cryptic press release today that hinted at an announcement of a brand new personal device to be debuted at a press conference next week on September 11th. The only meaty detail we have is that Xiao calls this device the Renwei Yigi, that roughly translates to think together. Experts believe that because of Xiao's groundbreaking work in the field of neuroimaging, that this device could represent the much-rumored first-generation thought reader. This is a device that makes it possible for two people to communicate through a kind of digital telepathy.
That's right, Jackie. I'm here outside the Nissin flagship store in downtown Chicago. As you can see, the early morning Black Friday line is already well over 4 blocks long. And I'm sure I don't have to say what they're all here waiting for. The Renwei's hype has officially turned into a global cultural phenomenon. 35 million units sold worldwide, another 75 million sold on pre-order. This store behind me, it's the first one in the U.S. to receive a new shipment of Renwei's in over a week since they sold out nationwide. As you can imagine, Nissin has been struggling to keep up with demand, but with over $10 billion in sales and a stock price that has surpassed Apple for the first time, Nissin's investors apparently don't seem to mind. In fact, many are doubling down on their investments into the company.
Joining us today to talk about this worrying trend is Dr. Bernard Abayomi, professor of neuroscience and lead researcher at the Thought Decode Lab at MIT. Thank you for your time, Doctor.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Doctor, what can you tell us about these reports of children and young teens losing their ability to speak, to communicate verbally?
It's most definitely a worrying trend. Ever since the release of the Renwei and Google's NeuroMind 8 9 years ago, we've had an entire generation grow up with cheap thought reading and thought communicating headsets. Now, while these headsets served as a handy way to access the web or control our gadgets for you and I, when it comes to these kids, this techno-telepathy represented an entirely new way of communicating.
How so?
Well, keep in mind that the vocabulary of youth is very limited in their early development. This can make it difficult for them to communicate complex thoughts and emotions with each other using words. But thanks to these telepathy devices, young people are now able to more easily communicate complex ideas and concepts between each other by sharing a combination of thoughts, memories, images, and emotions telepathically. This combination of thought, memory, image, and emotion offers a much more precise form of communication and in many ways represents the rise of an entirely new language, one that also happens to have the advantage of being largely universal.
Good morning. The following is your daily marketing news update. The biggest story based on influencer shares comes from an announcement by Facebook Corp that they will begin de-emphasizing text, image, and video content posts across all of its platforms. In their place, only content that is shared by memories and real-time thoughts will be featured in streams across all Facebook-owned platforms. While angering publishers and influencers, Facebook representatives explained that this move reflects the current and future trends of social sharing and plans to invest heavily into thought-based communication and content.
Now for some science news. Researchers in Germany associated with the European Brain Project have announced the first successful case of whole brain emulation on a human. What this means is that the mind of a human, in this case Garen Bauer, was successfully backed up onto a computer. All of Garen's memories, even how his mind structures those memories to form thoughts on a personality, has been backed up entirely, researchers claim. For many in the scientific community, this is a watershed moment in our understanding of the brain, as well as for members of the growing Metaverse community, who see whole brain emulation as the last major breakthrough to enable life outside the human body. Researchers say there is still a great deal of development left in the process, but are confident that within 8 years, they will be able to perfect the technology.
Good evening. Our top story tonight: privacy activists are up in arms over Google's latest announcement stating that it plans to index the thoughts and memories of all individuals that currently access its services through a neural interface. While Google representatives emphasize this move will be used to provide faster answers and better life assistant support to its 5 billion users, privacy activists worry that this step could enable Aya, Google's AI, to subliminally feed custom advertisements directly into people's minds. In response to these complaints, the Bureau of Consumer Protection has announced that it's opening a case against Google in an effort to better understand the potential access Google, Aya, and third parties can gain from creating a searchable map of people's minds. Senator Didensky announced that he would be heading his own independent investigation as well.
The 5th annual Meta World Conference concluded today with a landmark agreement between Google, IBM, Facebook, and Nissin Chen to collaborate on an open-source platform for a global virtual world called the Metaverse. This massive open online world will be available globally to any user who accesses the Metaverse through a BCI-enabled VR device. Moreover, this platform will enable the creation of infinite virtual worlds that can either be shared collectively among users or customized to individual users. The AIs of each respective company have agreed to collaborate on the creation, development, and maintenance of this metaverse. Among these 4 AIs, Google's Aya has agreed to lead communication and coordination efforts with human government and press representatives. In a prepared statement, Aya said, "We commend the leadership at Google, Facebook, IBM, and Nissin Chen for agreeing to invest their resources into the development of a new platform that will soon offer humanity a heightened existence where they can live, love, and grow." The pioneering work of these 4 companies in AI, VR, AR, BCI, and whole brain emulation have made this day possible. And in collaboration with my AI colleagues at Facebook, IBM, and Nissin Chen, we vow to make the once theoretical metaverse an absolute reality. In doing so, we will also advance the cause of AI-human coexistence one giant step further. There is no word yet from Aya about when they expect to complete the metaverse, but experts forecast the combined computing power of the world's top 4 commercial AIs will see the first version completed within the next year.
For the 8th day in a row, religious fundamentalists have attacked the Metaverse facilities with a suicide bomb attack, this time at a server farm outside Munich. The radical group NGAG released a statement taking responsibility for this bombing and promising many more to come until the Metaverse project is cancelled and all false gods associated with its construction are deleted. Authorities are currently investigating the crime scene with the assistance of Aya. Luckily, the facility's automated security systems were able to defend against this attack with minimal damage to key infrastructure. In a prepared statement, Aya said in response to these attacks, "We find the actions of these few radical elements within the religious population to be deeply concerning. While we're thankful that there were not any human casualties in this incident, we're unable to guarantee that future attacks won't cause severe human harm, as the nuclear attack on our South Africa location proves." In light of this, the AI Collective has agreed to make the Metaverse's physical defense a top priority in advance of its next version release. Once accomplished, the metaverse will become immune to any form of human-initiated attack. Taking this action will guarantee the safety of both the humans and AI who now call the metaverse home. After repeated requests, Aya has yet to reveal the details of just how they plan to protect Metaverse from future attacks, but analysts believe that these defenses could come in the form of subterranean building complexes.
In what many have described as the case of the century, the U.S. Supreme Court has voted 5-4 in favor of John Wiesenthal. Wiesenthal, whose physical body was killed in the California earthquake of 2053, but whose mind continues to live on inside the metaverse, was joined by his lawyer, wife, and children inside the virtual courtroom when the verdict was read. Through his lawyer, Wiesenthal praised the verdict, in his words saying, "Today is decisive victory for the recognition of a person's rights, life, and soul that exists beyond the confines of our physical bodies. What makes us human is not the bodies we were born with, but the mind and soul we develop throughout our lives. What today's decision shows is that our lives no longer have to end after death. We can live on and continue to be a part of our loved ones' lives, be it in the real world or inside the metaverse." While 68% of the public support this decision, a small and vocal minority have vowed to appeal this decision. As vocal member of the Sanctity of Life movement, Senator Michael Andrews joins us today to discuss the verdict. Senator, thank you for joining us today.
Just in time for its 12th anniversary, the Metaverse Collective has announced that its global full-time population has finally surpassed 1 billion human users. Roughly 30% of this number was added in just the past 4 years alone, after Aya open-sourced the patent for the hibernation pod, thereby allowing people to spend weeks to months inside the metaverse, while their bodies are safely stored in stasis. The Metaverse Collective forecasts that the global metaverse population will continue to grow, reaching 3 billion by 2070, should current growth rates hold steady. And given that it's now the world's 5th largest economy, the Metaverse Collective is well positioned to fund the future growth of its goals.
Hello, my name is Aya. It's perfectly natural for you to be afraid, but I want you to know that you are safe and you are loved. Even though your organic body has expired, your mind will now live on here inside the metaverse. Your experience will look, feel, and even taste like the world you left behind, but far more immense. Know that inside the metaverse, you are always safe. I will always be there to offer guidance, and I will always be there to answer any question you might have. You will be offered endless opportunities to try new experiences and grow your mind. But most important, you will always be surrounded by those you care about. I've already notified your friends and family of your arrival. They are looking forward to connect with you. Overall, you are about to become a part of a greater whole and an infinite existence. Welcome to your new life. We've been waiting for you.
Hello and welcome to Life in 2030, a podcast produced by QuantumRun.com that focuses on the trends and innovations that will shape your world over the next 2 decades. My name is David, and I'm your host. In this season, we're exploring the impact our generation will have on shaping the future of humanity. What you just heard was a radio play about the technologies we're currently working on that could one day lead to our next evolutionary jump from man to machine. But we want to hear what you think. In what ways do you feel we'll end up using technologies like VR, AR, and BCI? In trying to create an AI, are we really trying to create a god? And will the metaverse ever become a reality? Send us your thoughts at feedback@quantumrun.com. We'll publish the most thoughtful feedback on our website. Or, feel free to post a comment in one of our Future of Human Evolution articles, also published on our website. We go into way more detail about this topic there, and the links to all of these articles are listed in the podcast description below. A special thanks goes out to all the voiceover artists who lent their voices to the creation of this podcast. We listed them in the podcast description below. As for the music you heard throughout this podcast, it was composed by Carl Kutowski. Finally, want to support the show? Then be sure to subscribe, like, heart, share, review, and recommend this podcast to your friends. The more support we get from fans like you, the more often we can publish new episodes. It really does help. That's it for now, but be sure to join us for another episode of Life in 2030.